Ich soll fragen, ob hier noch Leute sind, die mir zuhören. Hände hoch, wer Leute ist, die zuhören. Ich habe eine Leute, zwei Leute, drei Leute. 3 Leute zählt schon fast. Ist das 4 Leute? 5 Leute zählt. Super. Ich setze mich hin und erzähle euch was. Ist problematisch hier mit der Höhe. Kriegen wir hin. I have to ask, are there foreigners present? Yes! Do we have the people that are not capable of the German language? Foreigners, show yourselves. Because otherwise I do this in German and then no one on my channel will know what I'm talking about. There's a foreigner back there. We might just do it in English just for the one guy. Should we do that? Are you guys okay with English? You speak English? Good. Those people from guitar and bass, which is guitar and bass in English, they asked me to come here for reasons that I don't understand, to sit here in front of strangers and talk about building pedal boards. Looks like we have people here that might have pedal boards. Who here has a pedal board? I want to see hands. Not pedals, pedal boards. Really? The guys from Lele don't have a pedal board? What's wrong with you guys? Who has a pedal board? They're not, the arms don't go up. Okay, so we're gonna ask a couple of questions. How many, what's going on here? Whoa, this is broken. I didn't do it. Who has more than 5 pedals on their board? 1, okay. More than 8? Okay, we're getting into the, let's talk to your shrink area. More than 10, anyone? More than, okay, back there, everyone's like, yeah, us. The people that make their own pedals, of course, they're like, yeah, of course we do. Okay, 12, anyone? 12? Okay, you have problems. You have issues and maybe we should talk about it in private. So, how many of you have things like buffers on your boards? See, no one. Even the guys that talked about buffers earlier, they're just talking about it to look smart because we don't actually like to use them. How many of you guys have loopers on your boards? So for these ridiculous amounts of pedals, we actually keep the signal chain clean. No? Okay, EHX guys like, hell yeah. Not because EHX pedals have a bad signal, no, just because it makes sense, because he probably has, how many pedals do you have? 19. And no lady in his life, but a lot of pedals. So, what I wanted to talk about, as if I know anything, was planning your board in ways so that you don't waste money, which is really a problem because there are so many interconnecting things that when you start out to build a board, it's almost impossible to foresee the things that happen while you're building it. So you think you have your pedals all sorted out, right? And then you pick a board. Is that easy? I mean, just the freaking board, unless you build it from IKEA, okay? But if you have 19 of them, like Mr. EHX guy over there, it might be a problem to build the IKEA board. So you want to pick your pedal board. And that can be a problem because you look at dimensions online and you don't necessarily know if that works out. And I know that the guys from Pedal Train have a very nice, I'm plugging him and he's not even looking. Okay, well, whatever. They have a pedal board planner, which is cool because you can put the pedals on, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that is your solution. I know that Martin, wherever he is, from Schmitteray, there he is. He's poking his head out, so cute, Martin. You actually write this guy and say, I have these and these and these pedals. He goes online, gets JPEGs of all these pedals that you have, gets the dimensions, and sends you a CAD drawing of his board with those pedals on it. That's a nice way to plan, and he's a nerd. But if you fork over the money for a Schmidt-Array board, you at least know my pedals will fit on there. So finding the right board is an issue. How many of you guys had problems actually getting the right board for your pedals? Anyone? No? Everything fine? You just bought them a lot bigger so you could add on? Okay, well that's a good way to do it. So planning the right board, big issue. Not just the board, what about the case? Because some of these boards, even though they might be good in terms of the size and weight, have cases that are so ridiculously large and so ridiculously heavy that once you think, oh, the board's fine, you hate it in the case. Which again brings me to Schmidt-Array, because the board is the case. Just saying, because I just had that situation where someone had a, I'm sorry, pedal train board and it was way too heavy and he didn't like it. And he switched to Schmidt-Array because even though the board weighs the same, the whole concept shows you, hey, I can actually move it around easier because it's not so bulky. How many of you really know what power supplies do? Like, yeah, okay, it gives the pedals power, but how many of you actually know what to pay attention to when you're picking the power supply for your board? Yeah, you all think you do, but do you really know how to plan your power supply? Well, of course you do. Smart ass. Now, I had the, let's say, pleasure of spending 2 days with a guy from a power supply company. Paul Chuck spent 2 full days with me and I wanted to kill myself because I was hearing milliamps and ohmages and I don't know anymore and 18 voltages, and he tried to educate me as much as I possibly could. But a couple of things I learned, which is when you try to find the milliamps for all your pedals, which is what you want to do, Mr. 19 pedal man. Obviously he works for the company, he's probably all EHX pedal. It's all, yeah, of course, it's all, he's like, yeah, it's all electromonics. So it's easy. He actually gets the manuals out and looks. But you know what? Some of those pedals don't have the milliamps in the manual. Some have them on the pedal, which is nice. I love TC Electronic. Hey, 100 milliamps. Thank you, TC. But some companies, you actually would have to call them, which is a pain in the ass. So try to make a list of all your pedals and the milliamps that you need. That is actually not easy. I had to call stores, I had to go through websites. There isn't really a very easy way to do this. And then those stats are wrong, which is the most important thing that I've learned from Paul Chalks. When you plan your pedal board, don't trust what the manufacturer says, because it's actually not really what the manufacturer says. Some of them might be more right. Some of them are calculating a couple more milliamps in there just to be safe, which really, can I say fucks you up? Can I say fuck? No, I probably can't. No, it messes you up. Let's take Strymon, for example. We all know that the little Strymons, they want 250 and the big ones want 350. Well, wrong. Because the little ones, realistically, when you measure them, want 180. Well, it makes a big difference if your power supply has 200 milliamp outputs. Because you're thinking to yourself, I can't put the small Strymons on there. When in reality, you totally can. But who tells you that? Not Strymon. How do you find out? We are completely left alone, and we have to find someone that can measure this, which Paul Chalks does, and he gives you a list of all the realistic milliamps. With that information, I now know that I can use power supplies that I would have never used for certain pedal boards. So don't trust what the manufacturer says. Try to find the realistic milliamp measuring of all the pedals, which means you can actually get away with much smaller power supplies than you were thinking originally. I'm getting kissy face from over there. I'm not saying who. Someone's going, I'm popular. Yeah, make me nervous up here, great. So power supplies, you want to know which pedals have 18, 9, 20.7 pi. I don't know about this stuff. And I don't know what it does when you give it more or less. I have no idea, don't ask me. But make a list of all your pedals and then find, through magic, the realistic power draw of these pedals. And I asked the guy earlier from Effects Boutique, what about daisy chaining? Who of you daisy chains their pedals? Mr. Sexy Man is like, no. On a little board? What if, what if, okay, with a fly rig, yes. What if your fly rig is 4 different digital pedals? Because when you're daisy chaining, analog pedals can work really, really well, not a problem. You have 4 milliamps and 15 and 40 and 7. Okay, totally fine. Use a 100 milliamp output, you're good. Maybe put 1 digital pedal in there. Maybe 2, but it really always depends. The rule is try it out. But the more digital pedals you put in a daisy chain, the more you're asking for trouble. So that's definitely an issue, more digital pedals. And we're getting more and more of those. So sometimes we don't even know if it's digital or not. It says spring reverb. Hey, that's not digital. Well, of course it is. So once you figure that out and you pick your power supply and you've ordered it, chances are that you were wrong about it and you're gonna have to return it and buy a bigger one. Just go get the biggest one you can possibly afford. Okay, period. Because you're gonna buy more pedals because we all have problems. Right? Don't buy the power supply that you need for your pedals right now. Don't buy the board that you need for your pedals right now. Because you're gonna watch this stupid idiot on YouTube showing you a really cool pedal, and you're gonna be like, oh man, I need that. And then your dog can't eat, but you have a cool pedal. And then you have to have the spare space, with a lisp, that's just great, the spare space. And the extra power on your power supply. And of course, the more pedals you have, who of you use looper switches? I asked that, you said that, right? Everyone else is just daisy chaining the pedals? What is wrong with you? What?
Multiple channels.
Multiple channels?
Parallel.
Parallel loops. You just want to sell the Karl Martin Paraloop, don't you?
No.
And he's like, oh, right, we have that. Right, that is a product. Okay, parallel loops, fine, why not? But obviously, I mean, for me, as soon as I have 3, 4, 5 pedals, I want a looper switcher for 2 reasons. A, because I don't have to tap dance, which we don't play live, so what do I care? But also, it is a much cleaner signal chain. Going through all these pedals, and it's always true bypass. Has it true bypass? I don't give a flying rat's ass if it has true bypass. Because if it's in my looper and I don't engage that loop, who cares about true bypass? That's just a word that is like trying to rope you in. Or maybe it's not, I don't know, but if it's in my looper switcher and I don't have that loop on, I don't care whether it's true bypass or not because the pedal is on all the time anyway. So keeping your signal chain a lot cleaner is a good reason to use a looper switcher, and of course not to do the tap dancing, and of course to control all your MIDI capable pedals, which of course we have a lot of. Anyone? MIDI capable pedal people. Anyone? Bueller? Chris, you better, do you have MIDI capable pedals? Do you have MIDI capable pedals? He says, no, I wouldn't have thought so. Okay, there's one. Mr. Tattoo Guy has MIDI pedals. No one here uses MIDI. Mr. EHX Guy, no MIDI? What? That is wrong. That is weird. Okay. Your amp? Is that MIDI capable? Ooh, MIDI amps is sexy. So with MIDI is not a bad word. MIDI is not the devil. It's just a way of switching things, people. It's like 0 to 127, and you say, please do something when I send you 15. And then the thing does that. It's not evil. It's not complicated. I just tell my amp to go to clean when I send it something, and then it works. So looper switchers do that too. You know, they can help you switch things, and also they can help you switch your amp that doesn't do MIDI with trigger, switchy, clicky things. And you program it all, and then it's easy. Let's talk about cables. Oh, that is the least sexy thing on a pedal board, and something that can cost $1 million. Who here uses really, really high-end cables? Not Mr. EH. No one here. Who here uses patch cables that are over €15 a cable? Any? Come on, you can admit it. It's okay. We're a support group here. We're among friends. It's okay. You can admit that you spend ridiculous amounts of money on patch cables. as you should. So, yeah, come on, give me. Unless you have this. Actually, Philip is right about this. Well, you can change the length of this rockboard flat cable by rockboard. But they actually do sound good for not a lot of money, I have to admit that. I tested these against Evidence Audio, which are great cables, and you can change the length and you can solder them. This is really cool stuff. These don't necessarily work great on loopers and switches because they're too big, but audio quality-wise, this is actually really not bad. But your cables, you definitely want to make sure that you're not saving money. They're not sexy. They don't make a sound. They're no fun. Your cables come in the mail and you don't go, oh my God, the new cables come here. I'm going to test them out and they're going to sound so good. No. It's a boring piece of gear that's going to cost you a shitload of money. I mentioned Evidence Audio, which is distributed by CMS, Cotton Musical Supply. And yeah, okay, 5 patch cables run you €89. That is a lot of money. But you can define the length so you don't have any shit hanging around. You have the smallest possible plug to go into any looper switcher to use as little space on your board as possible. Smaller than that. And you know that your signal chain is the highest possible quality. Because if you have 19 pedals on your board without a looper switcher, then that also means 19, is it 18 or 20? Can someone do the math? How many patch cables do you have for 19 pedals if you daisy chain them? Anyone? What? I guess we'll never know. I guess we have no way of finding out. So, it's a shitload. Let's call it a shitload of patch cables. And if you save there, that is pretty much like buying a long cable from a crappy company with bad plugs and all that stuff. That's where it sucks your sound. And which is why we need buffers, because we don't spend the money on good cables. The buffer helps to get that signal quality back up, preferably a buffer in front and at the end. I heard that Mesa Boogie now has some very nice buffers in their arsenal. I guess, I don't know, they wouldn't tell me. Mr. Mesa guy right there. No, they just came up with ridiculously priced buffers. But you might want a buffer before all your pedals and after all your pedals, so that in the end, all the crappy cables that you save money on don't sound so shitty. Of course, the best idea is to put a buffer in front of everything and after everything and buy really good cables, because then you have a good sound. On the other hand, Juan Alderete said he had, 30 pedals on the board, no looper. I think these were in between, so these are pretty decent. And they were asking him, well, Juan, are you not worried about degrading your signal? And he's like, no, because what I want at the end is not a bass sound. I don't want to play a bass in and at the end the bass comes out. What comes out at the end is something completely different. So he's not worried about dynamics and signal quality and making it sound beautiful like that bass just with a little bit of reverb on it. No. What comes out at the end is a synthesized flangy distorto fuzz. So it doesn't really matter if it's as good as what he puts in. So if you're someone like Chris Jupiter, or someone like that, Chris, someone who goes and does evil sounds and fuzzy and distorto goodness, and you like soundscapey stuff and noisescapes, you might not care about your cables. You might not care about buffers. You might actually like that lo-fi sound where your high end goes away. Maybe that's something you're totally into. So just forget about everything I said. Completely forget about, because maybe you're not the John Mayer type guy who wants this beautiful Strat with a beautiful clean sound and just a little bit of effect on it. Maybe you want your pedals to affect your sound. Maybe you like the, I'm gonna say capacitance, something with ohm in cables that they do to your signal. I don't know. Maybe you like that. So whatever I say means nothing if you're not me. Does that make sense? No, The tomorrows it makes sense because we're kind of similar. We like the high quality signal and stuff, but maybe you like good in, crap out. Maybe that's your thing. So don't buy good cables. No matter what you do, you're gonna plan your board, you're gonna plan your pedals, you're gonna have a budget, you're gonna go over. I think it's completely impossible not to. And you're gonna buy cables again because you bought the wrong ones. You're gonna trade in your power supply, and very soon your board's gonna grow and you're gonna need a new board. And this is all good because this is all how all these people here make money. And the guys from Guitar and Bass, if you didn't buy new pedals, then they wouldn't have anything to write about. So, because you guys are already nuts, all these people in this tent have a job, including me. So thank you for that. I'm gonna ask, are there any questions which you won't have? But I'll do it anyway. Any questions? You two people, any questions? You there, nutsos. Anyone? Any questions? Anyone? This is so cool, and it's fully dynamic here. I can go close and back. I have full control over the volume. This is awesome. No one wants to know anything and just hear me say that I don't know about it.
Just summarize the whole process again. Where do you start? What are the steps for this?
I summarize the process. You have a budget, you're not gonna hit it, your girlfriend's gonna be very mad, your day's ruined, but in the end you have a pedal board which your girlfriend has no idea what it is, why you need it, what the point of it is, and she's gonna yell at you a little bit, but that's okay. Or wife, or boyfriend, or whatever. That's pretty much our lives.
When you plan your pedal board, where do you start?
When you plan your board, where do you start? Make a list of your pedals, including the ones you're going to buy. Find out the milliamperages. Then find out what power supply you need. Find out if the board that you want can actually host that power supply underneath, or if it doesn't even fit. Because some of these really flat boards can't really have any power supplies underneath. I think the really flat boards, dual lock. Oh, we didn't talk about putting stuff on them. Does anyone really care? Yeah, Velcro. I actually think the little thing with the screws is a good idea, but dual lock is a good idea if you have the money, which can get costly. Dual lock can get really costly. There's different ways of fixing the pedals on, but these fly-riggy boards that are not angled and really flat, there are some rock boards, there are some pedal trains that are really flat. The only way to actually get power under them is, as far as I know right now, two different options. It's the DC5 from Chocs and the rock board, what's it called, Power LT XL, or the Power LT. They're the only ones that you can actually put under your really flat boards, and both of them are great solutions. One is battery powered, the other one is a great cable powered. Der Dennis hat mich ausgemacht. Ich bin dann mal fertig.